All right, Tuesday night, Krug Show. Raj is in the house. Mini camp was today. It's tomorrow. I was there. We'll talk about what happened today in Santa Clara. Join us, the Krug Show, Tuesday night style. Let's go. Off and running Tuesday night, Krug Show brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. Go say to Damon and Mary. Get some brisket. Get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. And we're also brought to you by LearnKey Upskill Academy, an online learning platform designed to get you job ready in 6 months or less. Whether you're interested in IT, cybersecurity, marketing, or another high-demand field, they offer over 30 different certification programs to help you take that next step in your professional career. Great company. They've been in business for 37 years. They've helped over 200,000 students along the way. That is a lot. And they place about 100 students every month in well-paying jobs. So LearnKey Upskill Academy. We're big fans of LearnKey Upskill Academy, and check them out. The link's in the description. And also thanks to Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California on the Monterey Peninsula. My good friend Anthony Catania is the owner down there. For all your sports cards and collectible needs, Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles, 831-521-5264 or Sharp Corners 831 on Instagram for Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles. And thanks to all of our sponsors for being proud sponsors of the Krug Show. We appreciate every single one of them. And if you want to help the show, shop our sponsors and help our sponsors. That always helps the show. All right, Raj is in the house Tuesday night. I was down in Santa Clara earlier today for Niner mini camp. Raj, good to see you, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's been a busy week, but good. I'm happy. Mini camp's here, and then after tomorrow, we got a long little break until action gets real at training camp. So I'm doing well. I hope you're doing good.
I'm doing great. Now, is that a fresh lid? Where'd you get that? Is that? Let's take a look at that one. That's a unique one.
Yeah, this is a new one.
NINERS Niners. I like the look.
LVLN shop on Instagram. LVLN. I know the guy that he made this hat last year. He tried to reach out to me like so much. But I guess I didn't see his message. It was, so I know somebody that I work it with, my content partner during the season, Ken from 49ers Tailgate. They know each other. So he hit me up finally. He's like, I just want to send you the hat. I was like, send me the hat. I don't care. He's like, I don't want any promotions or nothing. If you like the hat, cool. If you don't like the hat, be honest. I like the hat. I'm wearing it. So yeah, LVL.
I like it. That's a sharp lid. In fact, one of my I don't have a lot of Niner stuff. I mean, I just, when you're in the media, it's like you move it on to your friends and that kind of thing. But before I was in the media, I had the old script 49ers hat in the white, just like kind of the exact same color scheme as you got there. Red lid, white top, 49ers across, and in the bill, I have Bryant Young signed it.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
BY. I mean, that's my guy right there. I love BY. I watched a lot of practice today, and it's interesting. It's like the Niners have two really destructive defensive linemen that they didn't have last year, C.J. West and Bryce Huff. And they're the exact opposite. C.J. West looks like a ton. And just you look at him, you're like, oh, man, that guy's menacing. And he is. But his weakness is that he doesn't get off the football. Like he sometimes gets left like a half second. I saw it at least 3 or 4 snaps today where the snap happens, the offensive lineman comes out of the stance, and CJ, for whatever, I know it's probably a desire to not jump off sides. Sometimes you're safer if you just, if you're really a good player. Some guys, lose at the snap. I mean, CJ West is so amazing. He loses at the snap, but he's so damn dominant with his hands and with his strength that he winds up winning the rep. So imagine how often he would win the reps if he actually won at the snap and got into the backfield. So he's not getting off the ball, but still winning. And then you have Bryce Huff, who is, doesn't look all that impressive as far as height. He's probably 6'1" and change. Kind of short-limbed. He doesn't look like super impressive. But then he gets into this 4-point stance. And Raj, it's amazing. His first 3 steps are so fast, so choreographed, so drilled, so repped that it's like, like in training camp, the music is going and you can't hear Kasarik or the coaches. In the mini camp, the music's not there, so you can hear him. And there were so many times I've already seen in just the 2 practices with Bryce Huff, I've witnessed that when he gets off the ball, you'll hear Chris go, "Way to get off the ball! Way to get off the ball!" And he basically says that almost every time Bryce Huff takes a rep. Bryce Huff has the timing and the quickness and it's so efficient. It's so veteran. He, it's kind of like he's like the defensive end equivalent, Raj, of Lane Johnson, who it looks like he's false starting all the time for the Eagles. It's like Bryce Huff, man. It's like at the snap of the ball, he is moving. It's very, very impressive. It doesn't look like much because it looks accidental. But then when you watch a number of reps and you realize, no, this isn't accidental. Bryce Huff is that's his specialty, is he gets off the football. And we saw it again today. I thought Bryce Huff got off the football in a way that no other Niner defensive end is getting off the ball. So, Bosa was out there for just a little bit today. Bosa did the individual, only a little bit of team. CMC did the individual, just a little bit of team. But like Trent and Kittle did individual, but no team drills. So it was a little bit of a mix across the board. Shanahan told me after practice that if it was up to him, he would have canceled the entire week of practice. But he says, we got about 20 to 25 guys that are young that really need these reps. So what we're doing is we're just crossing our fingers that nobody important gets hurt. He didn't say that, but you know what I mean? Nobody vitally, but at the same time, he's got to go through this just for the reps of those 20 guys. And he said, if I could skip this, I would skip this and we'd go have a team barbecue or whatever. But he thinks he's got 20 guys there that need the reps. And so, so it is what it is. He's like, he basically said that, and we'll play the cuts, but he said, he'd like to cancel the whole week because he doesn't want to get guys injured. But he said, man, I got 20 guys here that really need these reps.
I mean, he tries to cancel it. He's canceled minicamp every year for the last couple of years. So it wouldn't be like crazy, but he's right. This team is younger than any team they've had in the last several years. So I think it's important to get the reps. I mean, I know Trent Williams and Kittle, you don't want them to get hurt, but they need to be out there. The conditioning is important. I really feel like, you don't want those soft tissue injuries to creep up and just to kind of build that chemistry. And I feel like there's not been any drama. So it's good to have everybody out there. And, the last thing you want is players get hurt, but this is it. You got to start. This is mini camp, get the reps, get everybody's like mind back in football, because after tomorrow, they're not going to be back until the end of July. So I think it's important. I like that they're there. I'm glad Kyle didn't, cancel it. But if they want to go get barbecue, go to the Pig and a Pickle and tell them Larry sent you,
That's right. That's right. And then get some good barbecue there for sure. If the Niners show up, something tells me you don't want to be the people who order next. You know what I mean? Because there won't be anything left. Here is Shanahan. Shanahan spoke today. Let's hear a cut from Shanahan, courtesy of the Kev Krug's Twitter. He has a couple of cuts that I sent him today from Shanahan. I asked Shanahan about the importance of the time between minicamp and training camp, and what does he really want from his coaches and players? Because it is that time. I mean, for the coaches, they're getting away, but for the players, it's like this. For the coaches, it's like you want to unplug. You want to not think about the facility, not think about the roster, not think about the depth chart, not think about the drills, and think about your daughter, and think about your wife, think about your son. Think about, you know what I'm saying? Go get away because, man, this is really June's the only month that you truly can get away. So that's the coach mentality. For the player mentality, though, it's different, right? Because when they come back, it's game on, and you better be ready to really fire, especially if you're a young player trying to fight for a spot. So I asked Shanahan, what do you want to see from these guys? Here's what he had to say.
Kyle, how important is this time between now and camp for both your players and coaches? What have you said to them about how you want them to spend that time?
The biggest part is the work we put in already. The work we put in since April, whatever, since phase one. I've been extremely proud of the guys and what they've done. You put all that work in, and now we got these 2 practices left, and it's 1 really. And I almost want to cancel the whole week. But there's 20 guys out there who still really need this week, and then there's 60 guys who kind of, they're just trying to get through this and let's not get them injured. And that's kind of our biggest goal with everything. Everyone's put in the work. There's some younger guys who still need more reps, but it's knowing what you've done. Now get away from us for about 40 days. Some guys can stay here. We have the weight room open. We have all that stuff, but get away, assess what's gone on, work to improve that stuff. So when you come back to really compete in training camp, you put in the work, and now you found a way to take a step forward. I always remember, you go back to spring football or anything, and it doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. You put in all that work, and then you need a certain amount of time to get away so you can find a way to get an edge on people you're competing against, and that's that time for these guys.
One of the things I love about Shanahan is he does give us some incredibly, candid answers and long answers, and I thought there was some good stuff there. What do you think, Raj? Kind of interesting there. It's like he's like, hey, look, if you do all the work's done, and now it's important to get away and then kind of assess kind of where you're at, what you're good at, maybe what you're not good at, and kind of come back with a mindset that you're going to be, you're going to try to improve across the board. I thought it was interesting, that he doesn't want the players to just, rep, all kinds of reps, that he kind of wants them to kind of think about what they've learned and, how they fit in this whole mix and kind of assess where they're at and what they need to do. So, it's I always wondered, what is the mindset of the player in June? It's not like it's 1, 2, 3 Cancun, you know what I mean? Because it's they gotta get it going in mid-July and if they're not like in totally, really with the razor's edge, you could lose your job, you could lose your career, your livelihood.
Yeah, no, I think there's an importance in doing a rest and, making sure you're preparing for the season, you're training, but they've been training, throughout the off season, last couple of months. But I really think that you don't want to burn yourself out because next month, training camp, right? Right now, mini camp, you're learning all the new stuff. You're reviewing film. There's other ways to keep yourself, competitive. You do need to take some time off. It's like the end of school, or like if you're in grad school or something, you have that same period. There's like a month or two where if you just keep on reading the books and studying, you'll burn yourself out. You need to make sure you kind of keep your mind a little at ease. Take a little vacation. It's okay to take a few days off, and just get your mind reset because you've learned a lot now. They've went to minicamp. They've processed all this information. Think about it, digest it. And I think the best advice was what Kyle said is, think about how you're going to come back and be better because, in a month from now, you're going to have to go up against, these other players on the roster and beat them if you want to make this team. Of course, Trent Williams doesn't, but there's players out there like, Jason Pinnock, Trey Brown. Will they make the roster? They got to come in and compete. And for the younger guys, I think it's a different mindset than these older veterans because they've kind of know what the coaches are expecting. But I think you do need a balance of both. You get some R&R, and then after a week or so of, just some time to decompress, you got to hit it and get back on the mindset of training. So it's interesting. I like that Kyle says, don't work yourself out too much because the season is a grind, Larry. You go training camp, preseason, the season's, and it's a long season now compared to where it was a few years, right? They got the extra games and then the playoffs if you're lucky enough. So it's a long time. I know it's a long off season, but the season, it just drags. So it's good to get a little bit of rest in there and enjoy your millions of dollars in between.
One of the themes that came up today, because Kyle brought it up and Trent Williams brought it up, is when talking about Bryce Huff, they both brought up D Ford. And it's interesting because D Ford really got off the football as well. And I mentioned before about how Huff gets off the ball. Here's Shanahan talking about Huff. This is courtesy of Coach Yak's Twitter, and I think this might have been Coach Yak might have yanked this from 95.7 The Game.
Yeah.
So here is a little Shanahan right here on that.
I just like Brett. I mean, he affects the quarterback. We talk about just getting off the ball and how fast he does it. I mean, he'll be our best get off the ball guy we've had since D Ford. So in terms of that, it's good to beat tackles that way, but also widens tackles to help with inside pass rush and things like that. And he affects the quarterback.
Yeah, Kyle was very matter of fact. It was kind of the audio was a little low there. Sorry for that.
Yeah.
But Kyle was very direct today. When he was asked about Bryce Huff, there, what do you like about Bryce Huff? He affects the quarterback. What do you like about Jake Moody's field goals? They went through the uprights. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you think of Jake's new two-step deal? And it's like, well, he made the field goals. That was one thing today as far as a positive. Jake Moody, it was the first time I've seen Jake Moody kick with the shortened, two-step approach as opposed to a three-step approach. All I would say is it's like we're talking about something where accuracy is everything. Mm-hmm. Why? Because, think about it. If you know what your kicker can do, that's a big part of it, right? It's about efficiency. You don't want to be attempting kicks that your kicker can't make. You want to, as a kicker, you'd be better off if you missed every kick from 55 on. And so that when your coach got to 56-yard field goals, he just didn't try them anymore because he knew that was your limit. You couldn't go beyond 55. But it would be more valuable if you made every kick that was shorter. So accuracy to me over distance is everything. Then when I heard him switching from 3 steps to 2 steps, there was a trade-off, they said. Accuracy was the gain. The loss was distance. But then when Jake was asked about it, he's like, I only think I really lost a yard or two. So if you're only losing a yard or two of distance and it makes you more accurate, I don't want to get mad, but why the fuck didn't you try this earlier? I mean, seriously, why the hell didn't you try this a long time ago? Today at practice, I saw him take 6 field goals and make 6 field goals. I saw him make one from 27, from 32, from 37, from 47, from 52, and from 55 yards with his new 2-step approach. 6 field goal attempts that I saw. 6 field goal attempts were made. My goodness. I'm glad that he's found something that works for him, but once again, why is it taking to your 3rd year to go to the kicking style that's more consistent if you're only trading a yard or 2 in distance? It's like I keep using driver off the tee, but I hit it in the next fairway 3 out of 4 times. But if I hit my 2-iron off the tee, I hit it, instead of hitting it 230, I hit it 225, but I always hit it right down the middle of the fairway. Then why the hell wouldn't you hit it? Yeah. Why wouldn't you use your 2-iron if you're always in the fairway? No, I want to use the driver. I like those 5 extra yards, and sometimes I'm 3 fairways away. I don't get it. Why did he wait so long to go to this more accurate, shorter deal if the trade-off is a yard?
Because the pressure is on him now. The pressure's on him now, Larry, because they brought in other kickers to snipe his job. And you know what? At the end of the day, Larry, we're talking about practice, mini camp field goals. I don't give a crap about we talking about practice. Yeah, Allen Iverson. I'm copying his little tidbit there. Not the game, Larry. Listen, he missed one. I get it. He was 6 for 7 today because I did read. Because at first I thought it was a perfect day, and then I read further on, and people are like, "Oh, he missed one." I was like, "Okay, I got to be correct." He did miss one. It was like 37. I think Jennifer Lee Chan had posted, and Mayoko had initially posted the 6. Maybe he didn't see the 37, right? But at the big story of this is, yeah, great. You're making your kicks with no pressure, no pads, nothing. I hope you're making those damn kicks because you're getting paid a lot of money to do that one job. Like Kyle said, you have one job. I just want to make sure you're making the kicks. I don't care if you take 2 steps, 10 steps, do-si-do. You got to do a head spin. I don't care how you approach the kick, Larry. Kick the ball through the uprights. And right now, it's practice. I need to see him do that in a game. And I don't know, like changing your kick all of a sudden. Again, it's just all in here to me with Jake Moody. Just get him off team and get the other guy to kick. I don't know. How did the other guy look? Everybody talk about Jake Moody. How did the other kicker look like, Larry?
He looked like a kicker. I didn't notice the other guy at all. I'll say this: I really don't care about camp stats, and so I really don't care about OTA stats. I will watch the kickers if I have a good angle, but if there's a bunch of other things going on when the kickers are doing their thing, it's like I just will you know what? I'll wait to see if Lombardi or Grant or somebody prints I'll just look for somebody else's rendition or evaluation and just kind of copy that as far as the stats.
There you go.
But I'm looking at other things. I'll tell you what I did see today that I really liked is I like what I'm seeing out of Jacob Cowing. And it really hit me. Last year, I saw a lot of the front of his jersey. So, in other words, he was working his way back to the ball, it seems like. I always saw the front numbers. And then he would catch it coming back, and then he had to turn his shoulders and go upfield. This year, almost every ball that he's catching in practice, we're seeing the back of his numbers. And he's running down the field. And somehow they've gotten him from he's running the route and then coming back and catching it to somehow he's catching it, working his way down the field. He just looks awesome. I mean, to me, Cowing and Watkins and Correndo, I think are going to be major factors this year. I'm gonna share the screen. I asked Shanahan this question today. He didn't necessarily go with me on it, but I think I didn't ask it the right way. I think I was trying to ask it, is this the fastest collection of weapons you've had since you've been here in San Francisco? And I think I said it's just the fastest group of weapons you've had. And then he said no, because he probably had some guys in Atlanta. Maybe didn't he have Taylor Gabriel and Julio and Gonzalez, and had some other weapons. So, but here's Shanahan. I asked him if the receiver room's the fastest he's had. Here's what he had to say.
Is this the most speed you've had with your weapons, and are you excited about what that potentially could lead to this year?
No, I don't think it is, but I'm excited about our weapons.
Kyle, the Niners
So when you talk about 40 times and stuff, there's been some groups that have been maybe faster, but it doesn't equate to better.
Is this the most?
So he thinks some of the teams, he likes the group, but it's not the fastest times. I think he's thinking of that group with Taylor Gabriel in Atlanta. But I'll say this, Cowing, there's the one thing about this year that looks intriguing to me is that I would think with no Debo and no Ayuk, the 49ers might not look all that explosive because those are two of their real dynamic big play guys in recent years. But now watching, Correndo run around and CMC and all the weapons they do have, Jacob Cowing, Jordan Watkins, they've got some real speed. I mean, they potentially could put 3 weapons on the field that all are sub 4.4. They haven't done that in a long time. I just think that I gotta think that Shanahan, who is going to design a bunch of plays for Correndo, because Correndo's so damn big and fast and can catch the ball so well, and then watching Cowing and Watkins create space, Raj. I mean, last year, the Niners were 29th, I think, in the NFL in wide receiver separation on passing plays or something like that. and they might have been like 32nd in separation overall. They're not going to be there. They're going to get a lot more separation this year. I mean, Brock Purdy's going to throw to Cowing. Cowing's going to be in the clear. He's going to throw to Watkins. Watkins is going to be in the clear. These guys run well enough where they're going to create more separation. So I don't think it's going to look the same, but I think if you're thinking, oh, no Ayuk, no Debo, doom and gloom, that may be a tad premature. I know Cowing has done very little, and you haven't done anything until you've done something. And I realize Watkins is a rookie, and rookie receivers often struggle. But between those two guys and Garendo, man, they're adding a lot of speed. And it's not just like Danny Gray speed. It's like speed with guys that can actually play.
Yeah, I'm really excited with this new group of players. I mean, Garendo is a guy I've heard nothing but grave reviews about Isaac Garendo. And I think they're going to utilize him as a pass catcher because you need that guy out of the backfield that can catch. He has great hands. We talked about it last week where, I feel like he's going to be that check down guy. And you want to take pressure off of Christian McCaffrey, right? You don't want to just give him every carry, every pass. He's great at it. Yeah, you want to utilize Christian McCaffrey. But I really think that Isaac Garendo is going to be a hidden gem on this team. And I've heard nothing but praise for Cowing during training camp or mini camp and everything. Obviously, they're going to give him praise. But it's the honest assessment. Last week, Clay Kubiak was very high on said he's come in. He's practicing hard. He's been here every day in the facility. He's been getting stronger. And Kyle today kind of said some of the similar things. You were there. And he said, yeah, Jacob Cowing's been bringing his A game to the training camp or mini camp, and he's been working out. He looks stronger. He looks faster. I really think Jacob Cowing's benefiting from the loss of Ayuk, the loss of Debo. And I know Ricky Persall's got the hamstring issue. So really right now, Jacob Cowing's getting a lot of opportunities. And for him to, impress the coaches, I think that's a great sign for him. So I'm intrigued. I know a lot of people are worried, oh, no Debo and we got some good young talent. And I think that is why the 49ers, like they said earlier, they're keeping these training camp days or mini camp days because they need to make sure these guys get the reps. I think Jacob Cowing's that guy. They really want to make sure that he's coming into training camp knowing he's going to be a big part of this team. Because, again, you got Jennings, he's great, but, he can't just be the only target. You got a guy in Brandon Ayuk. We don't know. We don't know when he's coming back. Ricky Persall, got to be careful with the hamstring. And then Demarcus Robinson, he might miss a few games because of suspension. So right now, Jacob Cowing has so much to gain from all the issues with wide receivers. So I also heard today that Jennings dealing with a little bit of a calf issue. So that's another opportunity right there for Cowing. So we'll see. But I'm intrigued.
Well, that's the question, too. One of Eric Branch asked Shanahan the question, hey, you guys showed interest in Gabe Davis. Is that an indication that you guys are still looking for a veteran wide receiver? And he said, hey, that's a guy that we liked, and he was working out, and he was out there. We took a look. And he said, hey, we're always looking. We're always looking for another wide receiver. There was one play, and I thought it was the kind of play that Demarcus Robinson is going to be able to make for the 49ers. It really showed a unique skill set that I don't think some of the other receivers have. Demarcus Robinson has averaged pretty good numbers per catch, per reception, considering he's not a burner, right? He doesn't run 4.4. He runs in the 4.5 range. He's not a super fast guy. But Raj, he did it today, and you can see where Demarcus Robinson is going to be a real value to the 49ers. And it was a pass play. I think it was from Purdy to Robinson. And basically, it was a very Devontae Adams-esque kind of a play. It was a downfield pass play, and it looked kind of like a back shoulder. And Robinson set up the defender, so the defender thought he was on the ball, right? While the ball was in the air, the defender thinks he's got the receiver covered. But the receiver does a quick two-step jab step while the ball's in the air, and the defender's back is turned to just move from here to here and caught the ball and made it look real easy and then went out of bounds. And it's the kind of play that this is how Demarcus Robinson can make plays down the field without really being a 4.4 guy or a 4.3 guy, is that he's got this uncanny ability to react with the ball in the air and create late separation by design with footwork that sets up corners. He's very veteran like that. I saw that today and I was like, wow, you know what? This is what I remember. This is how this guy makes plays down the field with 4.59 speed, is that he will set DBs up, and he's very, very savvy in his route running. A couple other things really stood out today. One was, we had a chance to talk to Demo Lenore, and he's like, man, I feel like one of the old guys. And then we asked him about Bryce Huff, and he's like, man, Bryce Huff's going to be a player for us. And then they asked him about Renardo, and he's like, man, Renardo this year is so confident. He's really, really confident. They asked him about how happy he is to have Robert Saleh, and he said, man, I love Saleh's energy. He said that he's really happy that his contract extension got done because he badly wants to be a 49er for life. But then we got into the kind of the meat and potatoes. I asked him about Cowing and Watkins, and he's like, "Man, they're guys that we really can use." He's like, "They're full of speed." But then he was asked, are you gonna play in the slot or are you gonna play outside? And he said, "Hey, look, wherever they need me, I'll go, but I'm outside this year." Yeah. So I think the belief is that Upton Stout is going to play in the slot. And that Demo's going to play outside. And when he was asked specifically about Stout, he said, hey, look, this guy's a lot further along than I was as a rookie.
Wow.
And that was good to hear because, Stout, the one thing about Stout is they're going to need him to play, and it looks like he's ready to play.
That's good. That's a good thing because there's been question marks with, that nickel position, that slot position. But I feel like they drafted him with that in Miami, his size, obviously the K'Wan Williams, comparisons, but I really feel like if he can be ready and brings the heat at training camp, that's definitely a penciled in starter right there. Because I don't really think that Trey Brown's going to be that guy at that position. Maybe a depth piece, but it's interesting that he gave some remarks about Renardo Green's confidence because everything you read right now is Renardo Green's getting destroyed. You've been there. I want to know personally, what do you think about Renardo Green? Because I told you earlier in the offseason on one of our streams, like that's the guy I'm pegging to have like the breakout sophomore season of all the sophomore players. Like I'm high on Renardo Green, but if you ask anybody else online, like, oh my God, Renardo Green's struggling. Oh, Renardo Green's terrible. What's your honest assessment of Renardo Green? If he sucks, tell me.
No, Renardo Green is a racehorse that knows the difference between Derby Day and, a workout in the morning. You know what I mean? That what they're doing right now is a workout in the morning. It doesn't matter. The great players know the difference, or the great horses know the difference between Kentucky Derby Day and you're running, a maiden claiming race at Golden Gate Fields, or you're running some workout at dawn just to stretch your legs, as opposed to running in the Preakness. I mean, the great ones know the difference, and this Renardo Green's like that. I have zero concern about Renardo Green. He's healthy. He hasn't lost a step. He's tremendously confident. I just think he's playing, OTA speed. I have no concerns at all that he's going to be a significant player for the 49ers. He's going to be really, really good. The one guy that I do have some concerns about, because it is going into year 4 and he hasn't come of age yet, is Darrell Luter.
Yeah.
And I asked Demo today about Luter, and to me, Luter's an important guy, Raj. I mean, Niners have 10 new defensive backs, 7 new corners, and Luter is probably the biggest talent that they have back there that's yet to really fulfill it. And I asked Demo about him. Here's what he had to say.
Demo, it takes time sometimes for young DBs to kind of make it. Darrell Luter's got a lot of talent. What do you see with Luter? It's a big summer for him.
Oh yeah, I feel like this is going to be one of his breakout years too. Also, he's a tall, long corner. I was very excited when we drafted him 2 years ago. I know he's going to be a player for us this year, and I'm expecting great things from him.
Yeah, so he's, now granted, you could easily come back with the, what do you expect him to say?
Yeah, no, it's a good idea. Demo's a good veteran. I appreciated his presser today. Like he talked about how he feels like the old guy. He's a veteran now. I was laughing. I was like, you're still like in your early 20s, man. You're the old guy, but you could kind of tell he's taking that captain, role. He's like that. he's the old man in the cornerback room, really. If you think about it on this team, he's kind of been that guy that's been around for a couple of years now. He's seen a few drafts. So I like this new Demo, and he got paid too, and he's happy guy. So I'm ready to see the show. But I do have some concerns on the 49ers secondary with their safeties because Mustafa's, dealing with the ACL. Jair Brown, he had the ankle surgery today. Kyle did talk about all the ACL guys, how they're probably all going to be on the PUP. That includes Mustafa. That includes, most of those other guys that Brandon Ayuk, right? He's going to be on the PUP most likely when training camp starts. So I'm a little concerned about safety position. I know we've talked about it. Maybe they go get a veteran. Like Kyle said, if we need to make a move, we'll make a move. We're always looking to improve. But I am a little concerned at that safety spot. What do you think? You concerned there, or what do you think?
I think they're a man short there. I mean, I'd like to add one more guy going into training camp. I mean, you lost Hafanga, you lost Tayshaun Gibson. They did bring in Jason Pinnock, who's a converted corner, and Richie Grant. I think Richie Grant looks good, really good. I think both Pinnock and Grant look good, but I think Richie Grant looks like he could start. I think Pinnock's going to be a key player for them too. He's got coverage ability at the safety spot. So obviously their 2024 fourth-round pick, Malik Mustafa, suffered an ACL injury this offseason. And Shanahan said today, hey, he's not going to be ready for week 1. So, so without Mustafa, the Niners could be looking for safety help. Bleacher Report had an article, a guy named Mo Moten identified the 49ers as a top landing spot for free agent Jordan Whitehead, who played for Robert Saleh. And here's the quote from Moten. He wrote, as the Jets head coach, Saleh saw Whitehead perform at his best with the help of his former defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich. The 49ers need a placeholder in one of their starting safety spots as Malik Mustafa recovers from a torn ACL. Mustafa went down in January, so he's likely to miss several weeks in the upcoming season. Whitehead, who's already familiar with Saleh's system, could step in as a spot starter. He's 28, played collegiately at Pittsburgh with Pinnock, I believe, 2015 through 2018. He was all ACC his second year. Tampa drafted him in the 4th round in 2018, made him a starter as a rookie. He played 4 seasons in Tampa, 2 then with the Jets, and then went back to the Bucs in 2024. He's appeared in 105 career games, 101 starts, 557 total tackles, 45 passes defense, 11 career picks, 2.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. So I don't know. What do you think? I mean, Whitehead could be a significant addition. I've heard Chuck Carr. I've heard different guys, or Chuck Clark, I should say. One of the guys that they're saying the Eagles may part ways with is Lewis Seen, who was a first-round pick by the Vikings. But the Eagles drafted Andrew Makuba, and they've got some other guys there. And they're saying, Lewis Seen could be on thin ice. And he's another guy that, only played 7 games in 2023, fractured his leg in 2022, but he's a Georgia kid. He's only 25. And he's super athletic. So those are a couple safeties there that are interesting. There's other guys out there as well. Simmons, Blackman, the familiar suspects have all been thrown out. What do you think, Raj? How dire do you think the safety need is for the Niners?
I think it's pretty significant. Like Simmons and Blackman are probably the names everybody knows. I think that if they're really desperate for safety, you go after one of those 2 guys. I like Whitehead. I mean, he knows the system. I think it'd be an easy plug and play. It really depends on how significant Jair Brown, when he comes back next month in training camp, I think they'll know ankle surgery. That's definitely nothing to scoff at. It's a pretty big situation there. And last year he was pretty underwhelming as in terms of his second year. We thought he was supposed to have this big breakout. So there's a lot of question marks about Jair. And Malik Mustafa, we have high hopes for him, but he's coming off a second ACL injury in his career. He had one in college. So I really feel like safety is definitely a position where they need to take it serious. I like Richie Grant, everything I've heard about him, everything I've seen about him. I think he's definitely going to be a starter, but I mean, Pinnock, he could go up. It could go either way. So if they really feel like Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa are not up to speed and they might be limited, I think getting a premium, or maybe not premium, but a upper tier, one of those safeties might be needed. I don't know, because I really don't see that their safety room is too good. But again, Richie Grant might prove me wrong. So we'll see. But I think they definitely need to look into it at least.
I think they're a couple pieces away, to be honest. I mean, they've added a lot of pieces in the secondary, but I could still see them needing a couple more. One more safety, one more corner. The Niners are the favorite to land Jair Alexander. There's also Jalen Ramsey. What do you think of those two guys as far as, Ramsey, they're saying may come back and play safety. Everybody's got, a different thought on this. Some people think Alexander's the better player. I've talked to some other people who feel like, no, it's Ramsey who's the superior player. Do the Niners need a corner? Should they go after Jair Alexander or Ramsey? Both Ramsey, you'd have to trade for him at this point, but Alexander is on the beach, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, do they need a corner? Probably don't. We just talked about how they have 3 good corners, but you can get Jair Alexander and or Jalen Ramsey. I mean, you would at least look into it, do some due diligence. Now, if I had to pick between the two, I think Jair is a fantastic cornerback, but he's missed 20 games, I think, in the last 2 seasons. He's missed a lot of games. I think he's played 14 games, missed 20, if I'm correct. Maybe some correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a lot. And I think he is a great cornerback, all pro. But over the last 2 years, his play has dipped, and I think that's why they're okay to get rid of him, because the injuries have caught up to him. Fantastic player, but I don't want a player that's definitely been going through the injury bug, because that's one thing that the Niners can't escape. We don't want any more injury-prone players. Now, Jalen Ramsey would be interesting because he was a long-time arch nemesis. Now, if they were to convert him to safety, there you go. You grab him. He can play your safety position, which you were just talking about. That's a win-win right there. Now, you might have to trade for him, but at this point in his career, I don't think you have to give up much to get him. I would, if I had to between these two guys, I'd take Jalen Ramsey, man. I think that'd be a fantastic. Jalen Ramsey, ready to go. I'd be happy. Turn him into safety. Let's roll.
What's Jair Alexander's injury?
Oh,
he
man.
seems like he's always been injured. He's always seems like he's got some kind of injury.
I think he had.
I really like Jair quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now, I know Ramsey was with Gus Bradley, so maybe the Niners have interest in in Ramsey, but I'd have interest in either one of those guys. I mean, I like both those guys.
Here it is, Larry. So he missed in the last 2 seasons. He's missed games due to injured groin, a back, shoulder, knee. He was 2024 season was cut short by a PCL injury requiring surgery. He was on a short stint on the injury reserve. So he's had a multitude of injuries. Like I said, some soft tissue stuff with the groin and stuff, but the major one was the PCL injury. So that's his major injury.
Well, so this is the deal. I mean, this is what you're choosing from at this point. You're choosing from injured guys. I mean, there's also Asante Samuel Jr., but he's coming off concussions. He's got a neck problem. It's like, how many games are you going to get out of any of these guys is the question. One of the questions was, about wide receiver and, Gabe Davis. Do you think, would you add another wide receiver if you could add another wide receiver? And I bring this up because Chase Sr. is tweeting out right now, 49er fans will laugh at this, but Danny Gray is having a great spring for the Eagles.
Yeah, let me. Excuse me.
By the way, Raj, I also think this one's funny. This is another one that's pretty good on my timeline right now.
Yeah, that's good.
Here, wait a second. I got this one.
I'm
going to share the screen because it's worthy of sharing the screen. Look at this one. David C. on Twitter. Embarrassing loss by the Giants tonight in Denver at Sports Larry K.
Yeah, they're letting you know.
Oh, by the way, just so you know, the Giants beat the Rockies tonight. They're six straight game-winning victory by 1 run. They've won 6 games now by 1 run.
So they won, and
they won. This guy, embarrassing loss by the Giants tonight in Denver. Sports Larry KMBR.
Yikes!
I got to retweet that.
That's funny.
You were saying.
Spoke too soon.
You were saying, David C. That cracks me up.
Oh man. Wait. You spelled you wrong. You got. There you go.
There we go. You were saying.
You were saying?
Thank you, David C. You were saying. Yeah, the Giants 6-5 winners. Giants scored 6 runs. What the heck's going on? Oh, they're in Denver. There you go.
Yeah, the air up there.
Yeah, 6 runs in Denver. That
Have you ever been to Coors Field? Holy
yes.
moly!
I ever tell you my Coors Field story?
No, tell me.
Oh my God! I go to Coors Field first. I go to Denver for my sister-in-law's wedding. This is like a number of years ago now, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Giants playing the Rockies same week, so we're like, we'll get tickets. So I called the guy, Russ Stanley with the Giants, who does the tickets. Said, Russ, I want to buy some tickets in Coors Field. And he's like, yeah, what do you want? What seats do you want? I go, I don't know. What's the best? Get the best you got in the house. I mean, we don't go all the time. He gets me 7 seats, first row behind the Giants dugout.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Nice.
Now, when I saw that, I was like, awesome. And then I'm like, because I'm paying for these.
Yeah.
So it's about $800 for the tickets, like 790, something like that.
Pretty reasonable for front. Okay, yeah.
First row, right? We're there in the first inning. Before the game even starts, Giants have a reliever named Gene Machi, and he sees my youngest kid. At the time was like no more than like 4.
Oh wow.
Standing over the dugout, and he rolls him a ball. So now my kid's got a ball. He's all excited.
Yeah. He's hyped.
So, but it's May in Denver, and it's very humid.
Yeah.
And I'm sweating like a dog, and I'm pissed that I wore jeans because I'm like, God, why'd I wear jeans? It's freaking hot as hell out here. And then all of a sudden, so we watched 2 innings, maybe 2.5 innings. Skies open. Just eruption of rain.
Oh.
And it rains and it rains and it rains and it rains. And then finally they announce, I was hoping because it was only the second inning, they're gonna rain the game out. We're gonna get a refund.
Yeah.
No, it's a suspended game, and we're gonna make up the rest of it in September when the Giants come back to Denver.
What?
So I paid almost $800 for like 3 innings of Giants Rockies.
Oh my God!
Behind the dugout in Denver.
Did you ever go back to the game in September? Or no.
No, Denver. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Would you
So
be
now
there?
we're gonna get on an airplane to go back to Denver. No, I mean,
Like, they should have just refunded your money.
I know, but no, it was a suspended game.
I would have
And
rose a stink. I would have.
I know. I said, Russ, really, $795 for 2.5 innings of Giants Rockies in Denver in the regular season. And
your boy did you wrong.
I know. Well, no, he didn't do anything wrong, but it's just like, oh man, bad luck.
That's all
Okay, a couple last ones today. We also had a chance today to talk to Trent Williams, and I thought he had a number of interesting things. It's funny. He said he's feeling good, and he said that he may play till age 41. He's only 36, so he may play 4 or 5 more seasons. I mean, that seems unbelievable. I doubt that could happen. But he said that the long off season was much needed, and that then he said how he talked about it. I thought the most interesting part was he talked about how difficult it is to lose a Super Bowl, how devastating it is, and how hard it was last year to come back after a short off season after losing the Super Bowl. And he brought up the Kansas City game, and he's like, playing them again brought up that pain of losing that Super Bowl, and he just felt like this year everybody's attitude and energy is great. He said there's a lot of confidence. But I thought the thing that caught my eye the most was he said the new draft class looks like one where the Niners have landed several great picks. So I thought we could have a little fun. Who do you think Trent is talking about when he says the 49ers landed several great picks? I'll go first. I'm pretty sure one of those is Mikael Williams, because he talked about Mikael Williams. He called him a mountain of a man. He's like, he's quick. He's fluid at that size. He's going to be really good on first and second down at defensive end, and then you can put him inside on third downs. So I think Mikael is definitely one of the rookies that he's super impressed by.
Yeah.
Who would you guess? I mean, we don't really know, and we're not going to know because nobody asked him about it. But he said several of the picks are great picks in his mind.
Yeah, no.
Who do you think he's referring to?
I think Williams for sure, because if you watched last week, there was that little handshake. He looked like he was having a time of his life with Williams last week when I think the 49ers page posted that. But I think, honestly, a guy that we talked about earlier, CJ West, I feel like he's just a guy that probably radiates. I feel like just looking at him, he's like a big vibe guy. I feel like him and Trent would probably get along. And I mean, Trent's down in the trenches. He's probably talked to a lot of those D linemen too. I feel like probably CJ West. And he's been there for pretty much everything. You know, it can't be Alfred Collins because he hasn't even played. He's got the calf issue. So I think it's CJ West that he may be referring. One of the guys he might be referring to.
My guess is it's Mikal, CJ West, Nick Martin, and maybe maybe some of these offensive linemen, maybe Connor Colby.
Yeah.
Maybe Jordan Watkins. One guy who was really impressive today. He had an interception was D. Winters. D. Winters is really looking good.
Yeah, he looks good.
D. Winters, I think, is going to rush. I think D. Winters is getting to that next level. D. Winters, I mean, I like Martin, and I think Martin, if I had to predict, I think Martin would be the guy. But, I think he'll be the guy that starts opposite Fred Warner. But D. Winters, I got to admit, looks absolutely fantastic. He's getting that
spot? I think from what I'm reading, you don't think D. Winters is ahead of Nick, right? You think Nick takes it?
Well, I do think Nick's better. Yeah, I think Nick's better because I think he's better. But you never know. I mean, I think Winters will start with it for sure.
I think he will. I think starting the season, if everything continues the way it is. But again, training camp's gonna be different. The pads come on, but I've heard nothing but good reviews. And last year, we talked about D. Winters a lot. I like D. Winters, Larry. The issue with him was staying on the field. Can he stay on the field? Because he's a very talented linebacker. We've seen flashes of him through the years, but his issue is health. And I think if he's healthy, he's going to be standing on the other side of Fred Warner week 1. But Nick Martin is a good player. But again, training camp, pads come on. It's a whole different story. That's where, like Kyle Shanahan talked about earlier, you get your mindset. There's going to be a lot of competitions. So we'll see. That's going to be one of the big competitions in training camp, that linebacker spot.
I'll tell you what I think is going to be a huge competition is running back behind McCaffrey. I mean, obviously he's the unquestioned number one guy, but I don't think it's going to be like it was where it was all McCaffrey. I think I could see the second-year guy like Garendo becoming a major factor. We also saw some good things in this offseason from both Corey Kiner and from Jordan James. You also have Izzy Abanaconda running around out there. He's got 4.3 speed. I think the Niners, the one thing about the 49ers is I think you're going to, there's no more Jordan Mason, but I don't think it's going to be, I'll say this. Bobby T told me you really don't know about the toughness of these running backs until you get to the hitting, till you put the pads on and they start hitting each other. But when I talked to him about Corey Kiner, he loves the contact balance. Yeah. And, other people say Corey Kiner is really slow. So we're going to find out. But I think running back is a spot that I'm really eager to see because I think it's wide open. I think it's, Garendo could have a significant role. Kiner could have a significant role. Abanaconda could have a significant role. Patrick Taylor. I mean, I think it's very even.
About the rookie Jordan James.
Jordan James. You look good today.
I think right now it's Isaac Grendo's spot for I think he's really due for a massive second year. I really think that he's going to be the guy that they're going to really rely on. I think those other guys are going to be good because you need a nice depth. You need a good stable of running backs in Kyle Shanahan's offense because that's what they do. They run the ball. They set everything up through the run game. But I really feel that this is going to be a breakout second year for Isaac Garendo. And again, because I think they want to really make sure they can be safe with CMC. And I think Garendo, his ability to catch, I think his ability to just run like I feel like, remember when Raheem Mostert kind of just took that leap and he was just blazing speed? I really feel Isaac Garendo is going to have that type season. Like you throw a toss play to him, hits the edge, and he's gone. I really feel something big is going to happen with Isaac Garendo. So we'll see. But running back, position is going to be a fun battle to watch. I agree.
You know, it's funny. I do see Isaac Guerrero taking it to the next level. And I don't know exactly what that's going to look like because I don't know how they're going to utilize him. I mean, how are they going to utilize him? He's not a natural runner. He's not necessarily a receiver. He's not necessarily a fullback. You know, it's like, what is he? But, you know, he catches the ball so well, and he's so big and so fast. Bobby T told me he's got a great attitude. So, I mean, if he's got a great attitude and he's as big as this guy is, he's as fast as he is. I mean, he looks like a drag racer. I mean, it's just like you look at that engine he's got. I mean, he is – I mean, Cowing and Watkins are impressive, but they're relatively slight, okay? This guy's got 4.3 speed, and he's 230 pounds. And it's just that – and he can catch the heck out of the football. So I think there's an outside chance that CMC and Guerrero are become a two-headed monster of significance this year.
Yeah. If they're smart, that's how they play it because you don't want to get if you like we talked about this last week, Larry. If you give CMC these meaningless carries, 1 yard dive, and you're just wasting him up and not utilizing these other guys, you're gonna waste them by week 7. So I hope that it's a two-headed monster, and then you have guys like Kiner and anybody else to really step up and maybe the red zone. Maybe they use a guy like Kiner in the red zone. So I don't know. I just hope they don't mess CMC. I just hope he stays healthy. That's it. We all know how important he is to his team, Larry. And if you just force feed him the ball, it's going to happen again.
By the way, Coach Yak has one thing on here that makes me laugh. I'll share the screen on this little graphic. He talks about how, or he's mentioning here how I'll share the screen. For most first-team All-Pros by a team in a single season, last 5 seasons, AP first-team All-Pros. Niners had 5 2 years ago. Nobody's had more in the last 5 seasons, and they couldn't get it done. When you think about, you know, the 49ers in this era, and you think about getting close, you know, Shanahan's been to 2 Super Bowls with the Niners. He's been to 4 NFC Championship games. Is it 4 or 5?
4.
4. So he's been to 4. He's been only here since 2017. This is year 9. In 8 years, 4 trips to the NFC title game, 2 trips to the Super Bowl. And yet they haven't gotten that 6th Lombardi. And 49er fans are getting impatient. And I bring this up because there was a stat the other day. Fan Nation, SB Nation had a poll. What are you most concerned, or who's got the most to prove was the question. Who's got the most to prove? Shanahan 52%. And everybody else, Purdy was second, and Saleh and Lynch were tied for third with 9%. But 52% said Kyle Shanahan. So what do you think, Raj? I mean, does Shanahan have the most to prove going into this year? If I said to you, who's got the most to prove, who would you say it is? And I guess when you think of the 49ers falling short of the Super Bowl, what do you think of? Do you think of Vegas and last year and the overtime lead? Do you think of, you know, Garoppolo and losing the 10-point lead or whatever in Miami? Do you think of New Orleans and the Harbaugh Bowl? I mean, when you think of the 49ers, damn, they've gotten close, but they haven't gotten it done. Which is the one that you go, damn, they should have won that one?
I mean, all of them, really.
You could make an argument all of them, but to me, I'm more fried about the Harbaugh Bowl because you had Kaepernick and Gore, and neither of them really were utilized as a runner when Baltimore was gassed. It's like, Jim Harbaugh, do you have any instincts at all for watching, you know, what you're watching? I mean, everybody in the stadium could see that the Ravens defense was old and tired and cooked, except for Jim Harbaugh, who's calling timeouts coming out of the 2-minute warning and handing the ball to Michael James instead of Frank Gore. I mean, Harbaugh gagged bad at the end of Super Bowl 47.
It was bad. It was ugly. That one made me so angry because I feel like if you just ran the ball like in that situation, instead of trying to throw that fade to Crabtree a million times, which never worked, by the way, I feel like you would have won that game. And again, the lights went off. The 49ers came back. Ray Lewis was washed, and then whatever, they won. And it's just like, are you kidding? Heartbreak City. To me, if I had to pick one Super Bowl that I'm like, just wish we could have done it again, is the one in Vegas, because they went to overtime. You literally outplayed the Chiefs. You had them on the ropes. You go into overtime. You didn't know the rules, which obviously that was irritating, and you blew it. You had the game. You had Brock Purdy pretty much outplayed Mahomes for most of that game. That game was ours for the take. I really feel the Niners should have won that game. CMC with the fumble, like there were so many little mistakes, the special teams gaps. It's like the Niners kept finding ways to piss that game away. That one pissed me off. And also I was there. Like I saw that game, like my heart melted in the stadium in Vegas. So yeah, that one was probably the most frustrating. Also, it's the most recent. So you remember at the most. They all suck to me though. I try to block them out. If we're talking about who has the most pressure, I agree with the list. I think Kyle Shanahan does it. We talked about it. All the NFC championships, the Super Bowls, but all those all-pro players have got nothing to show for it, Larry. So yeah, I think there is a lot of pressure on them. People will say, hey, look, you've won a lot of games, but what is there to show? You got a lot of all-pro players. What is there to show? And then after that, obviously, I think Brock Purdy has a lot of pressure. He just got paid $53 million, and now everybody expects him to prove his worth. So I think that coach and quarterback a lot of times go hand in hand. So it'll be interesting to see how the season plays out.
I wanted to ask Shanahan a question today that I didn't get a chance to. I don't want to say I chickened out. I just kind of prioritized other things. But the question I wanted to ask him was about that poll. And I was going to ask him about, hey, look, 52% of the people say you're the guy with the most to prove this year. I thought it may come across as argumentative. But then I was going to say to him, hey, look, we all know the reality, which is you've been to 4 NFC championship games. You've gone to 2 Super Bowls. This is all just since you've been here. But you're in year 9. You don't have that 6 Lombardi. And in this organization, that's the standard. You got to get that Lombardi trophy. And I think I'd love to ask Shanahan the question, you've been successful. You've made millions. You're highly coveted, even if the Niners ever said goodbye. He's one of the best coaches in football, whether you hate him or not, whether you want to call him Shanahan Hands or whatever you want to call him. He's one of the best. He's one of the best coaches in football. He may not be the best coach, but he's one of the best. Does he need, and this is the question I'd love to hear him answer, do you need a Lombardi trophy to validate your career? Your dad got it. Are you validated if you get the Lombardi trophy? Are you not validated if you don't get it? How important is the Lombardi trophy to your career validation as a coach in your mind? I mean, 100%. As candid as you can be with us, Kyle. You know what I mean? I'd love to hear him say, because I mean, in a way, he could say, "Hey, man, it's a loaded question." Because if I say it doesn't mean anything to me, then I don't care about winning. If I say if it means everything to me, I'm a miserable SOB who's set myself up for failure if I don't get it done. You know what I mean? But what do you think he would say, Raj?
I don't want to speak for Kyle, but
yeah, but yeah, I mean, just guess if because you're around him and you get a sense for what's important to him, and I think come on, I mean, how could reaching the apex of your profession not be?
I think if you're a competitor, if you're a coach, I mean, any competitor, any coach, 100%, that's what you shoot for. Your goal is to win the Super Bowl no matter what. So I think he would say, yeah, 100%. I definitely would love to win a Super Bowl to validate my career. But I think he would also say, look at my career in terms of OC and then becoming a coach. Like, he is a winning coach. He's created a lot of great players and innovative guy. He's had a lot of great coaches under him. So I feel like that's one part where he would say, hey, look, my coaching career has been good. But I feel like overall to fulfill it, to showcase that you are an elite or a great coach. Like, you could be a good coach. He's a good coach. But if he wants to be considered a great coach, maybe not an all-time coach, but a great coach in the NFL, you got to win a championship because he's fallen short. And now what people know Kyle as is a choker. People bring up 28-3. People will bring up all these games that they've lost Super Bowls. They've been up 10 points right against the Chiefs multiple times. and they lost those Super Bowls. So yes, I think the short answer is yes, Larry. I think he does need to have a Super Bowl, and I think he would say that, but I think he'd also say some other things around the way. You know how Kyle is, but I definitely think he needs a Super Bowl to make the Niner fans, appreciative, because you're right. They've been questing for this damn 6th trophy for 30 years, and it has happened. I think it is a Super Bowl hungry, franchise. They were quick to get 5. I think they're the fastest franchise to get to that much, and it's been a drought ever since. So 49er fans need a Super Bowl. It's in Levi Stadium this year. We got to get it.
Let's hit 4 supers before the big finish. Are you ready for the big finish tonight, Raj? We're going to have a big finish.
I'm always ready for the big finish.
All right, here we go. Stephen Reynolds says, CMC missed a lot of games due to injuries before the trade to the Niners and was healthy before injured again. So I thought of Jair Alexander to give him a 1-year prove-it kind of a deal. I like the idea. I mean, to me, the old coach used to say to me, Larry, the key to pass coverage is pass coverage. In other words, there is no key to pass coverage. You got to have dudes. And the Niners, I want to see the Niners win the Super Bowl before I die. And you know what? The only Super Bowl they can win is Super Bowl 60. That's the only one they can win this year. So go for it. And you know what? You've got Trent, you've got Bosa, you've got Kittle, you've got Hall of Famers scattered throughout this roster. Do not go down with the second most cap space available to the Patriots. I mean, is that you're gonna hang? What are you gonna hang a flag in the stadium that says we've got the most cap space? Spend a few dollars, get a couple extra pieces, and win the Super Bowl.
There you go.
Yeah, Tobin Ernst says, can't you guys see it? Guerrero is Debo's replacement. It's no 1-to-1, but he's that X factor weapon. I do see it.
He's going to have a lot of home runs. He's going to have just a lot of boom, 50 yards and a cloud of dust type plays. I see it 100%.
I think Guerrero is the fantasy guy to get for the Niners. I really do.
So? Yeah.
Ernberg, because McCaffrey's going to be hard to get. You'll have to overdraft him. You can get Guerrero as a steal, and I think he's going to have a big year. 2023 was good, but that 2022 team was magic with Brock Purdy. Yep. Well, yeah. Until he got the elbow ripped out. Tobin Ernst says Niners' last 3 Super Bowls have shortened my life.
Yeah, you and me both.
Seriously, bro. I mean, I MF'd about 150 times from my seat to the Niner locker room in the Superdome in the Harbaugh Bowl. Mother, bloop. Even Damon looked at me, and Damon Bruce was like, dude, you better get it together, man. We're almost going to go in that locker room. I've seen you drop like 27 mother blanks. And I'm like, 1st and goal from the 5, and Frank Gore doesn't touch the damn ball. Yeah. Kaepernick, this great running quarterback. Nobody can tackle him, but does he run? No.
Nope, throws it up to Crabtree.
Seriously, it bothers me to this moment. All right, the big finish. Let's go bold prediction. Niners, bold prediction NFL. Give me a bold prediction. Something that you predict is going to happen or not happen this year. And who do you got?
You ready for this prediction? 49ers will be the number 1 seed in the NFC. Entire NFC.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Number 1 in the NFC. There you go. Take it.
Wow.
There you go. Easiest schedule. They're gonna be from worst to first. Here we go. There you go.
I'll say this. The 49ers are going to get improved safety play out of Jason Pinnock and Richie Grant, not Malik Mustafa and Jair Brown.
Wow. Okay.
Not that those guys can't play, but I'm just saying Pinnock and Richie Grant are going to play and play well.
Okay. You might be right because, again, the injuries to me, I'm a little concerned about those safety injuries. Like ACL recovery is not easy. And Richard Grant might be playing so good, it's like, oh, you keep him in there. And the ankle for Jair might be cooked. He was cooked last season. He didn't have an ankle injury. I'm really so down on Jair Brown. He's got to bring it back. He's got to prove himself. Jair Brown has a lot to play for, a lot to prove. Could be right.
Give me an NFL-based bold prediction.
NFL bold prediction. Oh,
not a Niner bold prediction, an NFL-based. I'll go first and give you some time.
Go ahead.
I think the Steelers are going to start fast and finish awful. And I think they're going to wind up missing the playoffs. And Mike Tomlin's going to be on the hot seat. They're going to go from 10-7 this year to Aaron Rodgers. They're going to get off to a hot start, and then the bottom's going to fall out. He's going to suffer an injury. He's going to miss some time. They're going to wind up with a losing record for the first time under Mike Tomlin.
Wow, that is
with Aaron Rodgers.
I got a playoff run for the Carolina Panthers. I think they're going to surprise some people, and they're going to be they might make the playoff. It'll be a near playoff team because I feel like the NFC South has gotten a lot better. It's going to be very competitive. And I'm going to say Bryce Young's going to take a step forward and lead them on a playoff run. Now, I don't know if they make a playoff game, but they'll be close. They'll be close.
I got one more bold prediction. The 49ers will win Super Bowl 60 at Levi's Stadium.
Wow.
And they will win their first Super Bowl since Super Bowl 29.
Wow.
And they will once again beat the Chargers in that Super Bowl.
Chargers? You think Chargers are making it? That's
Niners-Chargers Super Bowl this year. Niners beat the Chargers, and for the second time in a row, the Niners beat the Chargers for their 5th Super Bowl. The Niners will beat the Chargers for their 6th Super Bowl.
Larry, I got a question. Did Stephon Diggs give you some of that pink stuff before the show? Is that what you
don't like the Chargers? They won 11 games last year.
I'm just that's bolder than bold, man.
Chargers?
Yeah, man. They might not even make a playoff. That division's crazy.
Oh, dude. No, I mean, okay, so here's my vision on the Chargers. Herbert, pretty damn good quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
When he gets hurt, you got Trey Lance sitting there. No, I'm just joking. But they also have Najee Harris.
Yeah, they got a good team.
They have Amarion Hampton. I think Hampton's going to be a Rookie of the Year candidate. You've got Ladd McConkey, Trey Harris, Mike Williams, Keandre Lambert-Smith. I think they've really improved their wide receiver core. It's a really good offensive line. Rashawn Slater is their left tackle. Joe Alt is the right tackle. Zion Johnson did not fit at guard, but I think he's going to slide in well at center. They added Mekhi Becton, so they just have a gigantic line. And they've got really good power backs. And then defensively, I think they're good enough. I mean, Khalil Mack, Derwin James, they're going to Dayon Henley. Kyle Kennard, I think, is going to have a good rookie year. It's a little bit of a projection on defense. I'll grant you that, but I like the Chargers and the Niners in Super Bowl 60.
I love it. I hope you're right, man. That'd be a fantastic prediction to come true. I mean, it'd be amazing. That's awesome. The AFC West is going to be a battle, but I would love to see it, man. Harbaugh is a great coach, and he's building a good culture there. So it's not
hopefully
crazy, but it's
wouldn't
crazy.
it be awesome if Jim Harbaugh could gag another Super Bowl, this time at Levi's?
Yeah, can you imagine? He's 5 yards away, and he just keeps throwing it up to Ladd McConkey, and then you got Diamo Lenore after the game. That's what you get when you try me with a sorry receiver like Ladd McConkey. Let's go full circle. Let's do it.
Could you imagine if Harbaugh lost to Shanahan? I would love to see that handshake. I'd almost pay to see the handshake. I'd pay to see Jed shake a rejoicing Jed shaking the hands of a miserable Jim Harbaugh.
Oh my God.
That would just be awesome. Joseph Ehrenberg, bold prediction: Niners never win another Super Bowl.
Oh, Jesus.
Come on, Ehrenberg.
Come on, bro.
That's even negative for Ern. All right, that's going to do it for us. Raj, what do you got cooking the rest of the week? Another day of minicamp tomorrow. You'll be posting, I'm sure, huh?
Yeah, I'll be posting. And then off season's coming. I'm gonna try to stay a little active, but I might go ghost a little bit. I got some trips planned up here and there, so we'll see. It's the calm before the storm. Take care of your mentals, Larry. That's the biggest takeaway from this. Self-care, take care of your mentals. Take a little break. Take a little break from social media. That's what I'll be doing.
Seriously. Take a break, take care of your mentals, take care of your chicken. Go out there and just take care, everybody. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Raj. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to Learn Key Up Skill Academy. Thanks to Sharp Corners. Thanks to all of you. The links are in the description. Hit like and subscribe on your way out the door. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.